On the eve of the first round, you told your supporters that the US president had given instructions to, quote, topple you. Do you have any evidence to suggest that the US president is meddling in these Turkish elections, that he gave instructions to topple you?
Yani Sayın Biden'ın seçilmeden önce
Mr. Biden's statement to this effect before he was elected was recorded on TV, unfortunately. And we listened to his words on TV and we were upset. I spoke to him about it later at an international summit. And I told him that I was deeply upset by his remarks and that I didn't expect this from him.
You called him out for calling you an autocrat in his election campaign before the US elections. That is not the same as suggesting that he is meddling in these elections and wants to topple you. Do you genuinely believe, as you suggested last Saturday, that Joe Biden wants to topple you?
ikinci tura çıkan bir insandan
How could someone who is going into a runoff election instead of completing the election in the first round be a dictator? That is the reality. We have an alliance with 322 MPs in parliament, and the leader of this alliance is going to go for the runoffs in the first position. What kind of a dictator is that?
Buyurun şimdi biz ikinci tura gireceğiz.
So if re-elected, are you saying that you will work with the Biden administration? You can work with the Biden administration?
Onda hiç şüphe yok. Sayın
Without a
Biden'ın
doubt,
çalışması-
I will work with Mr. Biden. And if Biden goes, then I will work with whoever replaces him as well.
Olan kim olursa olsun.
The US would like Turkey to take a stronger stance against Russia, particularly with regard enforcing sanctions. In April of this year, the US imposed sanctions on at least 4 Turkey-based entities it said were violating US export controls and helping Russia's war effort. President Erdogan, is Turkey helping Russia evade sanctions? And will you abide by US sanctions on Russia?
Bir defa herhangi bir
We have no problems with our relationship with Russia at the moment, and we are not at a point where we would impose sanctions on Russia like the West have done. We are not bound by the West's sanctions. As Turkey, we are a strong state, and we have positive relations with Russia.
güçlü bir devletiz.
In terms of our foreign trade volume, we've reached an ideal level with Russia. When you look at our tourism numbers, Russia is number one.
Veya Ukrayna'dan
Unfortunately, because of the latest statements by the main opposition party, many tourists are going to other destinations.
lider olmam.
I won't be a leader that makes the mistake of missing the tourists from Russia or Ukraine.
Let's talk about the S-400s and the controversy that has created, the purchase of those from Russia, the problems that has created for your relationship with Washington. It was the purchase of those S-400 systems that got Turkey expelled from the F-35 fighter jet program. Do you still have any hope that you'll be able to acquire F-35s in the future? Or have you got to the point where you say, we don't need them, we will have our own domestic defence sector going forward, we don't need to buy from others?
Sayın Trump döneminde
During the Trump presidency, the US had a wrong approach regarding the S-400s.
çünkü
Why? If we are a free democratic country taking part in a liberal global market, if I cannot purchase the defense system from the US, then it's the US that pushes us to buy a different system from a different country.
diyelim ki
We couldn't purchase those systems from the United States. That's why I bought the equivalent from Russia.
ve Rusya'dan S-400'leri
And when the F-35s were not delivered to us, we were very upset because we are NATO allies. Turkey is one of the most significant members of NATO. That's when we started looking at the alternatives. When we saw the attitude of the Americans about the F-35s, we told them to at least provide us F-16s and the necessary parts so we continue our relations in a determined manner.
aynı kararlılıkta devam
There are some positive developments in that regard. I hope that these positive developments will continue.
olumlu gelişmeleri devam ettiririz.
Are you ready to support Sweden's NATO membership?
Müsaade ettiği müddetçe
As long as Sweden continues to allow the offshoots of terror groups in Turkey to roam free in Sweden, in the streets of Stockholm, we cannot look favorably on Sweden's membership in NATO.
President Erdogan, are you saying that you are not yet prepared to agree to Sweden's accession to NATO?
İsveç için şu anda hazır.
We're not ready for Sweden. We're not ready for Sweden right now. First, they need to solve this issue. Because a NATO country should have a strong stance when it comes to fighting terrorism. And they should not allow any terror groups to run freely in their streets against a NATO country. Because this is what makes NATO special.